and welcome to Doubles and Trebles in association with dartsnews.com. We're here today to talk about the first ranking event of the 2021 darts season. They're calling it the Super Series, but to darts aficionados like myself and Matt Pieman Hill, it's better known as the Players' Championships. What we're doing in COVID times is having clusters of Players' Championships events. This one's called the Super Series, and there's going to be taken over 4 consecutive days in Bolton, starting on Thursday, the 25th of February. So it's like 4 mini tournaments, back to back to back to back to back. All the big boys will be in attendance, and many of the new faces who have just won a Q School tour card will also be there as well. So plenty to go at. Pieman and myself will be having a look at the betting available on this tournament as well. Straight knockout format every day, 75 grand to the winner, and obviously the ranking points that go with that as well. So plenty of chance for people to make an impact on the order of merit early in the season. I'm looking forward to it, Pieman, and I know you are as well.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. I'm really looking forward to it. And as you say, it's kind of the return of competitive darts on the circuit. We had a bit of a taster with the Masters, obviously, but that was a great little tournament, but quite a limited field for the darts fans. This is the proper stuff, bread and butter, getting back again. You know, we see all the players, some that we haven't seen in a long time as well. You know, we were saying earlier that a lot of these players, if they didn't feature in the Masters, they haven't really played since December and November time at the World. So really looking forward to it. For those who aren't familiar with the format in this event, best to think of it as the 4 days as 4 separate events, because they are really. They're boxed in as one, as you say, into the Super Series. But it's mainly just for COVID protocols, keeping everyone in one place. Got this one in Bolton. We've got a future series in Milton Keynes and another one in Germany. So blocks of 4, plenty of entertainment. Now, there's 16 boards in action each day. 128 players spread across the board, and they'll whittle it down in a straight knockout until we get with one winner, and they'll be the day 1 winner, day 2 winner, etc. So it'll be a great indicator of who's in form early doors in the season, who's maybe not in form. We'll see some new equipment, I'm sure, from certain players, and I'm going to mention a couple to keep an eye on, and maybe some new boys that have been undervalued in the markets, and that's what we're going to try and bring up for you here. Maybe some of the outsiders who could have a big run, and also maybe people that we can add to our Zweeler Fantasy teams, because obviously that's getting underway, the big season-long game with the UK Open in March. So I'll be keeping a firm eye on some cheap bargains that I can get in my team, I think. On note of the odds, I think you're going to give us a run through the markets. We've got a firm that's priced this up, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So there's one firm on odds checker with prices up, and some task really, Pieman, like you say, 128 runners. So the odds quoted here are for day 1 only, which is Thursday, the 25th of February, day 1 of the Super Series. Now, the odds aren't showing for days 2, 3 and 4 as yet, because obviously if someone goes on a spectacular run on day 1, the price for day 2 will surely be impacted. So we're hoping, and we're fingers crossed, that the bookies will put odds up for days 2, 3 and 4 as the previous days finished, if you see what I mean. So there's going to be a shortish turnaround for them to do it, but hopefully they do. So we're just flagging up, this is day 1 prices, but as you can expect, it's the usual faces at the top of the market, and I'm guessing that they will be at the top of the market for days 2, 3 and 4 as well. So Michael van Gerwen up there, 7-2, Gerwin Price 9-2. I mean, that's a talking point in itself for me, Pieman. I've said many times, I think that Gerwin Price, as of the World Championships, and particularly as of the Masters, despite him not winning that tournament, which was in about a month ago, that Gerwin Price should be favourite in all these darts tournaments going forward. He should be a shorter price than Michael van Gerwen. That message from me to the bookmakers still hasn't got through, and you can back Gerwin Price at a point bigger than Michael van Gerwen for this tournament, and I'm guessing other tournaments as well. But as we start looking towards the UK Open in only a couple of weeks away. I am not going to sit here and advise backing a 9-2 shot in an 128 runner race, but Gerwin Price has got to be value just because he's a bigger price than Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah, point taken. I think you've made that point on a couple of our videos, and I couldn't disagree with it. On the form book, on everything really, the struggles of MVG. He's had problems with his equipment. He changed equipment for the Masters, went out in the first round. So there's a lot of concerns over Van Gerwen's form, and I definitely couldn't have him above price in the market. I think you're right in what you say, 9-2 in a field like this where it's a short format. We saw at Q School, there was a lot of favourites at Q School that would go out very early doors on a day because they just bump into someone who plays well over 6 legs. So with the 6-leg format, I couldn't be taking on any of these three. That being said, the third man in that field is actually the one that would interest me out of the trio, Peter Wright. I think you can find him a little bit bigger, around the 13-2 mark. You look, Peter Wright, we've bemoaned his inconsistency on these videos in the past, but I think on these floor events, he's generally pretty solid. And as long as he's not tinkering around with new equipment or anything, I would expect him to be very competitive on at least a couple of these days. And you know, I kind of expect him to win one of the days, providing he's in decent nick. So, yeah, I'd be inclined to swerve the top two and maybe look at Peter Wright. But I think we both agree that this is an event for looking at the long shots. And me personally, I mean, we haven't mentioned it yet, that each way terms that are on offer here make it so much more attractive for betting big price players, because normally in a darts market, you've only got 2 places on each way. That means if you back someone each way, they've got to get to the final for you to get a place payout. Now, they're paying 4 places on this at certain bookmakers, and make sure you do check that out before you place any bets. But with 4 places, you only need your player to reach the semi-finals to get that each way payout. Now, in this format, 128 players, that's just 5 wins. So to me, that brings all of these guys in at the bottom of the market into play. They're all live. And I think we've both had a look, and there's a few names we fancy. So I'll let you go first with your 2 that have taken your eye.
Yeah, absolutely. Good you mentioned the each way terms, because that appeals to me directly. I wouldn't bet each way as 1-2. I know you would, Pieman. It's each to their own. No one's wrong or right. But yeah, I wouldn't back each way 1-2. But I would definitely back each way 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what you're getting here. So if a fella's 10-1, you're getting a quarter of the odds for him to make the semi-final or beyond. So so that's would be 2.5 to 1, for example. Or for round numbers, if you're backing someone 100 to 1, like I am, and they make the semi-final, you're going to get a 25 to 1 payout if they make the semi-final. That brings me on to a man that is 100 to 1, Stephen Bunting. As a punter, as you will know, Pieman, I am not loyal at all to any horses or darts players. Sometimes to my detriment. You don't get many chances with me. If you let me down once, then you're out the window. But Stephen Bunting's not let anyone down recently. I still think he's massively underrated in the market. He's 100 to 1 to win this. Day one, that is. World Championship semi-finalist, the best we've probably ever seen him, ever. 2 ton plus averages at the business end of that tournament as well. Then he was 125 to 1 for the Masters, where I tipped my hat to him again there. That didn't pay off for me on that occasion, but he averaged 101 in a first round defeat in the Masters to Joe Cullen, lost 4-6, 6-4. He's in much better form, Stephen Bunting, than other people that are shorter than him in the market. Mensur Suljovic, 80 to 1. Ian White, 66. Rob Cross, 50. Durant, 50, etc. Stephen Bunting's in better form than them. And if Stephen Bunting's going to be in or around 100 to 1 a day, I'll have a couple of quid on him every day at the Super Series. It'll cost me 8 quid across the weekend, and we might make a semi-final, and I'll be in profit. That's my thinking there.
I think that's a great selection. And look, we've talked about Stephen Bunting at length on recent videos about how he's undervalued in the market. I don't think there was any fluke about that World's performance. I think he was playing over too long a format. He was playing quality players. And even when he came up against Gerwyn Price, the eventual winner, he went with him for 6 to 8 sets of that match. It was really, really close and could have gone either way. So all the signs good about Stephen Bunting. I like what I'm hearing from him in his interviews. I think that's a nice selection. And 100 to 1, you've actually gone double the price with your other selection.
Yeah, absolutely. My other one would be Kim Huybrechts. Now, I am taking a little bit of a leap of faith, particularly in comparison to Bunting. I think Bunting's in good form. I think he's overpriced. That's quite simple. But Kim Huybrechts, like I say, a bit more speculative. He's 200 to 1. But he looked he looked as close as he has been to his best form at the Worlds for years. It wasn't his best ever form, but it was the closest he's been to it for some time. Averaged 104 in the first round against a qualifier, 101 against Ian White in the second round in what was a close game, and then tailed off in the third round against Ryan Searle. If Kim Huybrechts can, keep that kind of form and continue that, he spoke very well in his interviews after the games as well, saying he was back on it. He fell down the rankings. He don't want to see that happen again. He's been practicing. Well. He's been talking to other players like Dimitri Vandenberg, etc. Just looked to be switched on to me. As we said earlier, there's going to be players. Kim Huybrechts is one of them that's not played for over 2 months in a tournament. Didn't out in say the 20th of December in that kind of region. Didn't play in the Masters, obviously wasn't at Q School, and then comes here. So he has, it's nearly 2 full months, and there'll be a lot of players that fit that bill. Kim Huybrechts at 200 to 1, like I say, a couple of quid each day, and I think I'll get a run for my money on at least one of them days, Pieman.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I mean, like, I do find myself looking through the bottom end of this field, and I could make shouts for a lot of people.
Well, that's what you're going to do.
That is why I've decided to put 4 up instead of 2. And look, you can't say that I'm not covering all bases, but I just feel at these prices, you know, the stakes are so small. You could afford to spread your bullet a little bit more, because you'd probably 4 at these prices, you'd be putting on the same amount on one big boy, you know, if you were going to that end of the market. So, you know, I like this approach in these kind of tournaments. Not the biggest price, but just a man that everyone on this channel who watches regularly will know that I just can't resist to put up at the moment. Mervyn King.
There's the Mervyn King klaxon for Pieman.
Yeah, well, look, Merv, 50 to 1. He's not a 50 to 1 runner in these fields, is he? He was a final in the Players' Championship, finalist in the Players' Championship at 100 to 1. So there's your each way payout. He had a solid enough run in the World Championships, destroyed Jose de Souza, and then went out to the eventual world champion Gerwyn Price. And then the next tournament at the Masters, he's got to the final, having beaten the world champion Gerwyn Price. So to keep putting Mervyn King in below some of the players above him, I mean, there's a cluster of players on 25, 33, 40 region, and I'd rather have Mervyn King over all of them on the recent form. So I just think King at 50, you can't ignore that. I mean, if he just performs the same level as what we've seen him in the last couple of months, he can easily get to a final on one of these events on one day, I think. Simon Whitlock is another man that I've been quite loyal to. 80 to 1. I think he's a very lively runner in that region. Comparing him again to some of the names around him, I would much rather take Simon out of the names that are in and around him. He's been around with these events. He didn't always turn up at them in recent years, but providing he turns up here, I'm pretty content with where he's at form wise. He's had that nice little break. I know he was coming into the Worlds in some good form, and I know he was bitterly disappointed with the way he played against Krzysztof Ratajski, but I think it's important to remember that his scoring was still fantastic in that game. He just couldn't finish for the life of him. So he'll have gone away. He'll have had time to have a look at that. He is one that's a slight tendency to mess around with things a little bit in the Peter Wright ilk. You know, he'll try new things, but I think if Simon turns up and he's in a good headspace, he's got a better chance than all of those around him in the market, personally. So I put him up at 8 to 1. Someone that you've been a big fan of on this show, I think Ryan Searle at 125. We know that he can do damage in these tournaments. He comes off a good run at the Worlds. He's practicing with Gary Anderson now. So hopefully we'll see the benefits of that setup and bring him on even further. But one place we know he definitely is comfortable is these kind of events, these Players' Championship events on the floor. Just turn up, throws his dart. Very comfortable with the format. I would not be surprised to see Ryan Searle going deep in tournaments. And it is the each-way terms that make him an appealing proposition for me. I'm not sure whether I could quite see him winning a day, but I could certainly see him going close to a semi-final on one of the days if he turns up. You know, he could beat any of the big boys. Whether he can string win after win after win against the big boys is questionable, but I'm more than happy to get on side with Ryan Searle. And then the big bullet goes at Scott Waits, 200 to 1. Couldn't help but be impressed with Scott Waits. Everything he's done in his first year. Obviously, these kind of events were badly disrupted with COVID last year. A lot of home tour darts and stuff. But Scott only got his card just over a year ago, and I've talked at length on other videos about the quality he possesses. We saw it in the Worlds against Nathan Aspinall. Yes, he lost that game, but he was fantastic in that game. He oozes class, Scott Waite. He's still got all his ability he retains from winning the BDO World Championship. I think he, just because of where he's at in his career, I think he needs to prove it to himself that he can go and do some damage in the PDC. And I really think Scott Waite is going to way outperform expectations this year, and I don't think there'll be many events where you see him going in at 200 to 1. So I think this is he's a must back in my opinion.
Well, confidence from Pieman there. I can't argue with Waits or King. Really, King at the prices is still underestimated. He's a man in form. We know that the evidence is there for all to see. We're not guessing that that's not hype or guess or rumour. That man is in form. And I'm a bit off Whitlock at the minute, Pieman, to be honest. He's just not been doing it. He's not been doing it.
I can understand it. I could understand that. I'm maybe sort of clutching at straws a little bit with his runs where he was beating Van Gerwen in TV tournaments just in the sort of in the third quarter of last year. But he does have a few questions to answer. But that's why he's 80 to 1. And if he's on form, Simon, I back him to beat anyone on his day. So yeah, we'll see how they go for us.
Yeah, a couple of others we're keeping an eye on. Nathan Aspinall, we've talked about his form or lack thereof. Possible equipment changes there. Gary Anderson, I know you're of the opinion he's normally quite mediocre in some of these floor events, but he has promised us a big year. Maybe he'll be saving his best for the TV. I'm not sure. And Michael Smith, another guy that has been a bit in the wilderness recently on TV in the World Championships and the Masters, but won a couple of these Super Series events. I think it was at the Winter Series. He won 2 days back to back.
Yeah.
So yeah, could be a threat and has definitely got things to prove. Michael Smith. So we're going to be showing our selections on screen now. So yeah, Pieman's got the 4 selections. I only need the 2. I've got the winner, no problem at all. But yeah, just a reminder, these prices are for day 1 only. I'm guessing that these prices will be similar for days 2, 3, and 4, but the betting is not available for those days as yet, so we can't guarantee that will be available. Hopefully it will. Yeah, and also on this event, Pieman, I know we're going to just do a quick nod to the Zweeler Fantasy Sports game. It's going to be available on this 4-day Super Series Volume 1. So you have to pick 15 players who you think will perform well across the 4 days. It's only £4 to enter, Pieman. I know you'll definitely be having a go.
Yeah, I definitely will be having a go. I think it's a great way to get involved if you're just wanting a little casual interest over these 4 days. And maybe you have, everyone has their favourite players, don't they? And there are a range of players. It's a nice way to get behind your favourite players. And if you think there's some players that are going to outrun expectations, like I just said with Scott Waits, I mean, he'll definitely be in my lineup. So I would definitely recommend that people go and have a look at that. They're running 2 games, really, for this. They've got a game just on the Super Series itself, and then a game where the winner gets a ticket for their Road to Ali Pali game. And that's definitely worth a look, because if you get one of these tickets to play in that Road to Ali Pali game, there's thousands and thousands of pounds up for grabs on the World Championships in December. So I'll be trying to qualify for that. I'm hoping I'm going to manage to scramble my way into that field, but that's the game we all want to be in. So if you're looking for any more information on Zweeler, or you got any questions, you could ask us in the comments below. There's a link in the description. If you go through that link, obviously it supports the channel as well, because we'll get a little bit of cash for sending you to the game. But I promise you, hand on heart, this is something I really enjoy, and I'm not just pushing people there. I think if you go and have a go at it, you'll really genuinely enjoy it if you're a sports fan. So yeah, make sure you click the link below, and any questions, just tweet us or drop us a comment on YouTube.
Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, cracking 4 days. I'll be watching live on PDC TV, as I'm sure Pieman will as well. So as Pieman said, there's 16 boards in action at any one time, particularly at the start of these days where they're whittling down 128 players. 2 boards are shown on PDC TV, and obviously you're going to get all the semi-finals and finals on there as well. So that's where we'll be watching the action. And yeah, stay tuned for plenty more content in the coming weeks. We've got a first TV tournament of the season starting in early March, the UK Open. Then we're into the Premier League and such like that. So yeah, make sure you give us a like and subscribe, and we'll keep the darting content coming, Pieman?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you check out our racing content too as well. If you've never given that a go, it's just something new that we're starting. Not going to affect the darts content at all, but we've got a little bit of everything, and trying to keep you entertained on the channel. So cheers for watching, and speak soon.
Thank you very much.